Hi, welcome back. I'm Julia from Jewel Wellness, and I'm excited that you're here. I'm founder of Jewel Wellness, personal trainer, wellness coach, and yoga teacher, and this is the second session on the body reset. I'm grateful that you watched my first video. If you haven't watched it though, please go back and watch the first training. It will help you to flow in the body reset program so much easier if you start at the beginning. In my last video, I taught you how to replenish with food and add more goodness into your everyday life in a variety of ways. Keep going with that. And let's move on into today's lesson called Reconnect. In this lesson, you're going to learn a practice to help you reconnect to your heart and start to notice stress and how you can choose to manage stress better so that you don't overeat, that you don't skip out on making healthy choices, but that you feel in control of stress to the point that you can manage it and not have it consume you and leave you feeling depleted energetically by the end of the day. And some of us, we get to that point, right? I mean, we all have those days where we find it difficult to manage stress. But when we get very skilled at managing stress, we end up responding to it, and it doesn't become this overwhelming thing in our lives where it just sucks all the energy out of you, and by the end of the day you feel like you have nothing left to give to anyone else, or let alone yourself, and you'll be able to make much better choices for your body, for your health, for your weight, and you'll feel so much more satisfied with the life that you're living when you're able to deal with stress effectively. Okay, so I used to be really stressed out, and stress was just really something that affected my eating as well. I never was an overweight person, but I used to manipulate food to deal with stress. It gave me a sense of control to control my food. So maybe you don't overeat when you feel stressed. Maybe you are restrictive and not eating enough food. So that's kind of the flip side of it. And my approach was this all or nothing thinking. You know, if I controlled food, then life would be great. And then of course I wasn't able to deal with stress, so then I found myself having to control food. So it was like this back and forth, right? All I really needed to learn was how to deal with stress properly so that I didn't feel like I had to manipulate food. And really, it's not all that difficult when you learn some techniques. And so I'm going to teach you something today that's going to help you so much. So I want to tell you first about a client that I worked with, and she transformed her weight, her health, and her fitness simply by working with me to get stress under control. And she was a stress eater, and her name is Karen. And she came to me many years ago when I first started doing wellness coaching. In fact, she was one of my guinea pigs. And if we want to call it that, she was one of my little guinea pigs. And I was learning how to do wellness coaching. And what I quickly noticed after many years of personal training also behind me at that stage was that stress was such a common complaint that women had. Women just felt overwhelmed by raising kids and their job and finances and paying a mortgage and tending to a marriage. And there's just so many pressures, so many expectations of all these different women that I've worked with over the years. And I think every one of them could tell you, including Karen, that dealing with stress was not at the forefront of their mind when they thought about dealing with their weight or managing their weight better. In fact, because we've been conditioned to think that it's the food that we're eating, right? It's the exercise program that is going to make the difference. That's such a crock. It's really just a big marketing ploy to get you to buy a product, to buy a gym membership, and to pay crazy prices for a personal trainer that you meet with for an hour a week. I'm a personal trainer. I know about these things. So what I found quickly is that, especially with Karen, is that stress was the source of her problem. It wasn't the food. She was eating healthy foods. She really wasn't eating a lot of food, but she was eating later in the day, and she was dealing with stress in unhealthy ways. And so as soon as we focused on that and started dealing with stress, the weight started coming off. She started following through on her healthy choices. She started exercising regularly, and she hates exercise to this day. She hates it. She always reminds me whenever I see her. But she does it because she knows she needs to do it to be healthy. And she knows that it manages her stress level so much better. And I share this story with you because I want to inspire you. And I want you to see that you've been doing all these things that you've been told are the things you should be focusing on, right? Like you're focusing on eating the right foods and doing the right kinds of exercise and getting so much sleep every night. Like, all these things are important, but stress is really that glaring issue that maybe you're not really noticing right now. So play with me over these next few sessions and let's just start to explore that. Let's start to notice how stress is showing up in your life, and get yourself, even on the back of your introspection journal that you printed out, there's another link below so you can download it again if you need to. You can start to write down the way stress is showing up in your life. It's really important that you do that, because the more you are aware of it, then the better you can deal with it. So when you recognize it, you can say, oh, that's what that is, and I can deal with that right away, instead of letting it fester. And then by the end of the day, you have no energy at all. You're completely drained and overwhelmed, and start to make poor choices like overeating, skipping your workout, and going through the fast food drive-through because you just don't have time to make dinner because you're so stressed. Okay, so start noticing stress and how it shows up in your life, and jot down what are those things. And then the other thing that will really help you is I've created a meditation for you. It's a guided meditation, and again, the link is below this video. When you click on that link, you'll be guided through this lovely, very short, very condensed meditation, just to help you come out of your busy life and reconnect with yourself again. It's really easy to get caught up, right, in all of these external things, and we lose touch with ourselves. So this meditation will pull you back in where you can really hear your heart speak to you, and it will be so healing and help calm your nervous system down, because your nervous system, when we're with stress and the stress response, the nervous system can get agitated and become overwhelmed, kind of like a circuit becomes overwhelmed because there's so many things plugged into it, like a socket on a wall, that you end up blowing a fuse. So it's time to come back in and get out of the chaos. Okay, so use that meditation. In fact, do it a couple times a day if you have the need, and I think it will really serve you well. So let's move into, don't forget to do your introspection journal questions as well. That's a really important step. Just like on day one, there are some questions for you to go through. It won't take up a lot of your time, but it will help you in today's lesson. Reconnect is it's just such a huge piece of this program. You know, the whole point of dealing with the whole point of the body reset is to bring you back into the truth again, back into the reality of what is your life. Because it's so easy to get distracted and put blinders on to stress and just go through the motions. But when we are able to reconnect with ourselves, we can see beyond that, right? And have much more clarity. So before I leave you today, I want to go in to a couple of misconceptions that people have around stress. Some people believe that stress isn't a problem because they deal with it all the time. And I want you to know that it's a mistake to think that you've adjusted to stress. Because eventually your health will suffer. You'll experience the effects of degenerating stress. It's not healthy. Dealing with stress in healthy ways is healthy, but not putting up with it is not healthy. Stress and health issues resulting from stress, if left unmanaged, could include illnesses like depression, anxiety, physical, emotional, mental breakdowns, heart attack and stroke, some cancers. And overall, stress really does have a negative impact on your enjoyment of life. So it's worth dealing with. It's worth learning some tools and techniques to try and manage it better. It's really important to have a regular practice for your self-care, to have opportunities to relax throughout the day, to have a break every so often, to connect with yourself using that meditation or even just simply breathing, just focusing on your breath moving in and out of your body. What a wonderful, simple technique that you can use anywhere. And it changes you physiologically immediately and helps you to recenter and to calm your nervous system down tremendously. It's a wonderful thing. So just take some deep breaths. Even place your hand on your belly and breathe deep into your belly and feel your belly expand with each breath. And do that for even a minute or two and you'll be completely transformed. So another misconception that people have about stress is if I didn't have stress, I'd feel better, look great, and life would be amazing. If I didn't have any stress. Well, it's just not realistic to think that you won't have any stress to deal with because that's just part of life. But we can learn to manage it better. Another one that I want to tell you is, people and different situations in my life stress me out. So stress is really a response that starts in your mind, and it can be triggered by thoughts and events, what you see, what you hear, and it really does start and finish with you, not with anyone or anything else. So to say that all of these external things really cause the stress is not accurate. It's the way that it's what we're telling ourselves about those events and those situations and those people that's causing the stress. So there's a way to reframe it in our minds so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming. So something else that I would like you to do, another step, is where you've identified stress in your life, I'd like you to look at how can you reframe that and write down a way that you can deal with that stress next time it arises in a way that it preserves your energy and your ability to stay on track. So for an example, maybe one of the stresses that you deal with is feeling rushed in the morning to get out the door to get to work, or you're getting kids ready to get out the door. And how can you deal with that stress? Well, how can we reframe that? Well, maybe it's a matter of getting started an extra 10 minutes early in the morning. Maybe it's looking at it from the perspective that when I'm stressed out in that situation, that's what my kids see. And I don't want them to see me that way. So what could I do instead? And start reframing it. You know, that I want to get to work on time. I want my kids to get to school on time. I want them to have a good education. I want to get to work and not get in trouble by my boss, right? Because I'm late every day. So what can you do to manage that stress better so that it's not this constant thing that you have to deal with every day? Because you know what? You don't have to deal with it every day like that. You can deal with it in a much better way. So be willing to explore how these stressors show up in your life. So I really appreciate it if you do like this video training, that you hit like and that you share it with 5 of your friends or anybody that you think who could use some support and that would like a body reset. Please remember to post any of your questions in the Facebook group. If you need any support, I'm going to be in that group coaching you and helping everybody out. And of course, it's growing, and gradually we're going to get more and more people in the group who want to be there to support each other. And so I really hope that you'll join us in the Facebook group too. So until next time, live well and love life. I'll see you in video number 3. Bye.